Welcome back to the deep dive. And this one is a bit special. It's tailored specifically for EBTD's Research Bites series.
That's right. So a big hello to all the teachers and leaders listening in from schools across Bangladesh.
We know you're right in the thick of it, seeing generative AI everywhere, feeling the pressure, maybe some excitement too.
Oh, absolutely. It's moving incredibly fast. And you hear these big promises, right? People like Peter Deng, Sam Altman, they're saying AI will free us up, let us think deeper, be more creative.
Give us our time back.
Exactly. Yeah. But our job today, really, is to cut through that hype. We need to dig into the actual evidence. What does the research say Gen AI is really doing to student learning?
So we're pulling together insights from some key analyses, Dinsmore and Frier, on how expertise develops versus what Gen AI does, and Carl Hendrick's look at the evidence coming out on AI tutors. And the big question, the one we really need to answer for you is, do these tech promises actually hold up when you look at how people, how students actually learn things? That really is the fundamental question, isn't it? And the research points to a pretty significant gap right from the start.
Okay, let's unpack that. Section 1, the foundational challenge. What's the basic misunderstanding here?
Well, Dinsmore and Frier point out that a lot of the talk around Gen AI misses two key things. First, what Gen AI's knowledge even is, and second, how humans, actually get better at something, how they develop expertise.
Right. Let's start with the tool itself. Gen AI, LLMs.
Yeah.
What are we actually talking about? Is it intelligent?
Well, intelligent is tricky. Blackman defines the current stuff pretty simply. Software that learns by example. It's essentially a probability machine, a really, really powerful prediction tool.
Prediction, like guessing.
Sort of, yeah. But based on analyzing just unimaginable amounts of text and data, it learns statistical patterns. So it predicts the most likely next word or generates a really fluent-sounding explanation because it's seen similar patterns millions of times. It doesn't know physics like a professor knows physics. It's more like an incredibly articulate parrot that's read the entire internet. It uses statistics.
Statistical parrot. I like that. So if that's the tool, how does that match up, or maybe not match up, with how a student learns?
Okay, so for that, we need a framework. Alexander's model of domain learning, the MDL, is really helpful here. It basically shows learning isn't like flipping a switch. It's a journey.
A continuum.
Exactly. Think of it like climbing a mountain. At the bottom, you're in the acclimation phase, total novice, just figuring out the basics.
Okay.
Then you climb a bit, you reach confidence. You can do things, but maybe you still need guidance, a bit of help.
Right.
And then finally, you reach the summit, or near it. That's proficiency. Real expertise. Deep understanding, you can work independently, apply knowledge flexibly.
And connecting this back to AI, Dinsmore and Frier argue that where a student is on that mountain really matters for whether generic Gen AI is useful.
Absolutely critical. Because if a student is still down in that acclimation phase, just starting out, they lack that foundational knowledge, that structure in their head.
So if they ask ChatGPT for a summary of, I don't know, photosynthesis,
the AI gives this beautifully written, fluent summary. But the student, they don't have the mental hooks to hang that information on. It doesn't connect deeply.
It just floats there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And if the AI's main trick is just summarizing stuff it has access to, it lets the student skip the hard part. The struggle, the effort you need to actually build those connections to climb from competence up to proficiency, that cognitive effort is the learning process.
Wow. So wait, are you saying that for a student who's genuinely trying to learn something new, these standard off-the-shelf tools like ChatGPT might actually be useless or worse?
Based on this MDL framework, Dinsmore and Frier conclude there's basically no compelling evidence right now that generic Gen AI helps develop real learning or expertise.
That feels huge, given how they're being pushed.
It provides efficiency, sure, task completion. But efficiency can sometimes be the absolute enemy of genuine education.
Okay, that's a really sobering thought. But, and this is the paradox, right? The same underlying tech, these LLMs, can apparently produce amazing results when they're designed differently.
Exactly. And this is the crucial distinction we have to make. It's the difference between AI acting as a scaffold, something that supports you while you build, versus AI acting as a crutch, something that does the work for you so you never build the strength.
A scaffold versus a crutch.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the positive side first, the scaffold. What's the big optimistic vision here?
Oh, the vision is incredibly compelling. Imagine every single child getting expert tutoring, infinitely patient, tireless, perfectly adapted to their exact needs one-on-one.
Like a personal tutor for everyone.
Right, and that frees up the human teacher to focus on the things humans do best: motivation, building relationships, tailoring things to the local culture, the human side of learning.
Which, let's be honest, previous ways of edtech haven't really delivered on that scale.
They really have it. But now there's some evidence suggesting this might actually be changing. Things are getting interesting.
Okay, this is where we get into the really eye-opening stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us about that Harvard study, the one with physics undergraduates.
Yeah, this was a rigorous randomized controlled trial. They had students using a tutor built on GPT-4.
And the key thing was the comparison group, right? They weren't comparing it to, like, bad lectures.
No, absolutely not. That's what makes it so powerful. The comparison group was using well-implemented active learning, delivered by highly rated, experienced human instructors. This was a high bar.
Okay, so good teaching versus the AI tutor. And the results.
Stunning, really. The students using the AI tutor showed median learning gains more than double the group, with the excellent human-led instruction.
Double.
Double. We're talking effect sizes between 0.73 and 1.3 standard deviations.
Okay, translate that for us non-statisticians. An effect size over 1.0. What does that mean in a classroom?
It's huge. It means you could potentially see a student move from, say, a C grade to an A. Or a student who is really struggling might suddenly grasp the concepts and pass comfortably. It's a massive leap in learning effectiveness.
And it was efficient, too, right? They got through the material quickly?
Yep, 70% finished within the expected time, median around 49 minutes for a 60-minute session. Efficient and effective.
And this seems crucial. It wasn't just generic ChatGPT let loose, was it? How was it designed differently?
Absolutely crucial point. This wasn't the wild, unconstrained AI. It was carefully engineered for learning.
How so?
Well, it was used for foundational concepts, kind of like a flipped classroom model. And importantly, it had guardrails. The instructors had built in things like pre-written solutions to stop it from just making stuff up hallucinating.
Ah, okay.
They basically designed it to force the students to engage, to retrieve information, to apply those known laws of learning the things we know work.
So it's applying learning science principles, but using the AI engine. We see that elsewhere, too, right? Like with assessments.
Exactly. Systems like assessments for math tutoring or Carnegie Learning's Mathia. They show consistent, positive result, maybe not 1.3 standard deviations, but solid gains, often between 0.2 and 0.4 SD.
Especially for students who are struggling.
Yes. And they work because they relentlessly apply those core principles. Clear instruction, quick feedback, adapting the difficulty, making students practice retrieving what they know.
It makes you think about Bloom's old idea, the 2 sigma problem, the challenge of scaling up that ideal one-on-one tutoring. Maybe we're finally getting closer.
Well, Bloom's original numbers were probably too optimistic based on modern research. Real human tutoring is more like 0.3 to 0.4 SD.
Yeah.
But these GPT-4 results, they are significantly higher. It does suggest that for certain parts of teaching, the more algorithmic bits, the practice, the feedback loops, AI might be able to scale that expert effect in a way we haven't seen before.
Okay, that's the powerful potential, the scaffold.
Right.
But you mentioned the danger zone, the crutch.
Right, the darker truth. Because that same powerful technology, if it's not carefully designed, if it's just used, well, generically, it seems it can actively harm learning.
Why? What's the mechanism there? You mentioned generic LLMs are built for efficiency, for making things easy, frictionless. Why is that bad for learning?
Because, as Carl Hendrick puts it, learning requires effort. It requires that friction, that cognitive struggle. When the AI just smooths everything over, gives you the perfect answer instantly.
You don't do the thinking yourself.
Exactly. You offload the cognition to the machine.
Yeah.
And we're seeing research now trying to quantify this. Gerlich's study found a strong negative correlation between frequent AI tool use and critical thinking skills.
Wow. So using it a lot made students worse at thinking.
It seems so. They relied on the AI for reasoning, for explaining, so their own ability to do that independently, it weakened. It's like a muscle that doesn't get used.
Cognitive offloading. I guess teachers listening have seen versions of this for years, right? Students just reaching for a calculator or Google without trying first.
Precisely. And there's another danger, the illusion of understanding. The AI produces such a fluent, confident-sounding answer.
That the student thinks they understand it just as well.
Yes. It's a serious metacognitive error. They mistake the AI's fluency for their own comprehension. They haven't actually done the work of mastery.
And this isn't just theoretical harm. There's evidence of students doing worse.
There is. That University of Pennsylvania study is quite concerning. High school math students who had unrestricted access to Gen AI with no guardrails,
Just plain chat GPT, basically.
presumably something like it,
Yeah.
they actually performed worse on later tests than students who just worked through the problems themselves unaided.
Worse. Not just the same, but worse.
Worse, because they likely used the AI to bypass the necessary steps, the cognitive processes, the actual learning needed to solve the problems later on their own. They used it as a crutch.
Okay. So the lesson here seems incredibly clear. Helpful AI versus harmful AI.
Right.
It's all about the design.
Entirely. It comes down to how the tool is built and implemented.
That Harvard tutor worked because it was constrained, right? It was built to resist just giving the answer, to force the student to work.
Exactly. It had to be, you might say, strategically unhelpful.
Yeah.
It needed to know when providing more information would actually short-circuit the learning process for that student based on where they were on that MDL continuum.
And withhold the answer, even if that makes the interaction feel less smooth or efficient for the user.
Yes, because the goal isn't smooth efficiency. The goal is learning. And sometimes learning is bumpy. Sometimes it requires hitting a wall and figuring out how to get over it, not having the AI instantly beam you to the other side.
Let's think about the future then, and what this means for, say, a school leader listening in Bangladesh. Maybe resources are tight, teacher ratios are high. Is this AI tutoring a realistic hope, or just fancy tech for rich universities?
I think it's realistic, but it comes with uncomfortable truths. The trajectory is important. Unlike human teaching expertise, which improves slowly, person by person, the improvements in AI tutoring software can be rolled out instantly, globally, to millions of students. There's this potential for an exponential feedback loop. The AI gets better faster.
Meaning it's almost inevitable that AI tutors will become more effective than the average human teacher for certain tasks.
For the algorithmic parts of teaching,
Yeah.
the drilling, the concept checks, the adaptive practice, the immediate feedback, I think that's highly likely, yes.
Which leads to that really uncomfortable question for the profession. If AI can teach foundational stuff better, more efficiently, what's left for the human teacher? Augmentation or replacement?
History isn't always kind on this. Efficiency gains often do tend to displace labor rather than just augment it. Good teaching, the really deep, human, context-aware stuff that's complex, it doesn't scale easily.
But AI scales incredibly well.
It does, but we have to hold on to what the machines genuinely can't do yet, the motivation, building that relationship, understanding the specific cultural context, the nuances of your students in your school in Bangladesh. That's where great teachers shine.
Okay, so summing this up, we're at a real fork in the road.
A critical inflection point. The evidence is showing AI can be incredibly powerful for learning, potentially giving us learning gains we haven't seen before at scale.
Or it can actively undermine learning if we're not careful.
Precisely. And the deciding factor, every single time, seems to be the design. Is the AI designed to align with how humans actually learn and develop expertise, like that model of domain learning suggests? Or is it just designed for frictionless task completion?
So the advice for teachers and leaders listening is, you can't just adopt AI. You have to be incredibly discerning.
You have to understand the difference. Is this tool a cognitive prosthetic like eyeglasses, helping you see better, but you're still doing the seeing, that's the scaffold? Or is it a cognitive offload, something that does the seeing for you, letting your own vision weaken? That's the crutch.
The choice isn't whether AI will change education. It already is. The real choice is whether we guide that change wisely, based on evidence, focusing on human flourishing, or just let the tech, driven by efficiency, dictate the terms.
And maybe that brings us back to that philosophical touchstone from the sources. Maybe instruction, the application of known learning principles, the feedback loops, the practice for CIMIC and A. Maybe that is computable. Maybe it can be automated and scaled effectively by machines.
But teaching, in that richer, deeper sense,
Yeah.
the spark, the connection, what Keats called that wreath trellis of a working brain, awakening another mind. Maybe that's something else entirely.
Perhaps. And ultimately, we have to decide what we value most. Is it fast learning, focused on efficiency, or is it deep learning, focused on genuine understanding? That's the question AI forces us to confront.
A profound question to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.